Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. We are the Mile High Property Brothers. Today, 2023 market overview, everything you need to know when it comes to being a buyer moving forward this year.
That's right. Let's check it out, guys. What's up, guys? I'm Eli Schmidt. This is my partner, Will Grimes. And if it's your first time checking out the channel, welcome. And while you're here, guys, hit that subscribe button because we drop a new one of these every Tuesday and every Thursday, and you don't want to miss a single one.
100%. And we're licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, which means just as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs. But that's popping up below. We are the guys trying to the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if there's something we can do to help you guys, we would love to. But with that being said, let's dive into your 2023 market overview. And hey, listen, if you are here in Colorado as a seller, these are also still important for you as far as like being attractive to buyers, being competitive as far as where the market sits, the comps in your area, the competition in the surrounding areas. So if you're not necessarily a buyer, you would still check out what we have to say today. If you are a buyer, however, though, definitely stay tuned.
Yes, now we are going to dive into some very surface level important pieces of market data, but primarily for this video, guys, we just wanted to put together more or less a guide as far as updated May 2023 outline for you as far as, hey, if you're looking to buy a home in Colorado, what can you kind of expect going through the process? Now, before we dive into current market conditions, let's recap like the past couple of years as far as what the overall experience has been like.
Here you go. Great, moving forward, now that we've got the past couple of years market out, all jokes aside, guys, market was extremely competitive. One main key factor was that because we had about 5 minutes of inventory on the market. Being specific, it was more like a week, but a week's worth of homes on the market, it creates this tempo of extremely over asking price, $150,000 over asking price, and having to cover those gaps because appraisals were not gonna catch up with that no matter what. They were actually kind of pulling back on some of that, almost forcing people to spend that much if they were offering it. We're definitely a lot healthier place now.
It is. Now, just to give you guys a little perspective, when Will says 1 week's worth of inventory, what that means is that, hey, if no other homes were to go on the market, all the homes that are currently available would be gone in a week. So right now, we are up to about a full month of inventory. Now, to give you guys perspective as far as when this would actually shift over to a buyer's market, technically speaking, a buyer's market
per the letter of the law.
Per the letter, that it would be 6 months of inventory before it would officially be a buyer's market. So we are still very, very much in a seller's market in Colorado.
Last time we were in a buyer's market. It's been about that long since Denver Metro, right? If it was even Denver Metro back then, was in a quote unquote buyer's market. However, even when we only had a week's worth of inventory, there were still consistently homes coming on just at that pace. So we never ran out of homes, but home prices and the competitiveness that everyone had to be at was a little outlandish and extreme just to get into homes. So we've now increased 4 times that amount. You still might think that it's slow, but we've still consistently got homes coming on the market at the pace of 1 month of inventory. So you've got significantly more inventory that you guys should be looking at. However, what's great about this is if we got too much inventory on home, like that would definitely mean that home prices are going to drop, values are going to drop, which might on the surface feel like it's a great thing as a buyer, but long term and longevity for that property and that investment for you, definitely not a good thing. So as far as like overall, the word that we would use for the market with where we're at right now, where interest rates are at right now, where the interest rates are starting to head a little bit, I would use the word healthy.
Yes, I would say healthy and balanced. This is a phenomenal market that I've been wishing for many years, because what I love about this is that our inventory it's tight enough, but not too tight to where sellers aren't held accountable. And by held accountable, I mean sellers still have to put a good quality home on the market. And on top of that, if a home is overpriced, it will just sit there. So they've got to price a home correctly, it's got to be marketed appropriately, and then when buyers actually come to see the home, it's got to be a good quality product.
And they've got to be prepared to just fix and or mitigate a couple of things within the home. So if there's some requests from the buyer as far as like a couple of fixes that they would like to have done prior to closing, prior to taking possession of that home, sellers are a lot more proactive right now in making sure that they do that, because first and foremost, you guys have the purchase that they have, the money that they have in order to go do what they want to do. So they're a lot more proactive, and there's just a need for it. If they're the one house that's getting picked in that neighborhood by a buyer that's coming through that week or whatnot, like they want to do all they can to make sure that they're competitive and appropriate for you guys moving forward into your new home.
Yes, and another thing that's very balanced is that back in 2021, 2022, 2020 even, you were seeing about 75 to 78% of homes go for over asking price. It was almost all of them. Now we're at about 24% of homes are going for over asking price. And if you're asking how much, it's not by much. If you're looking at an average, $650,000, maybe $700,000 home, of course, depending on the home, but you're maybe looking at about $5,000 to $10,000 to maybe $15,000 over asking price.
Correct, and you'll see some of that increase when it comes to like more expensive homes. We do a lot of those homes that are $1 million plus as well. Where I feel like that lies, guys, is you'll see a couple of that, you'll hear some notes or you'll hear some articles talking about homes going over asking price and things like that. And what that kind of represents, in my opinion, is you still have homes that are like unique or just really prepared well. Or like, for example, if we're in South Shore, let's use South Shore for an example.
Sure.
If you have something that comes out on like Lakeview Drive and it backs up to the water and it was one of the model homes, or it wasn't a model home, but it is just done really well and it backs up to the water. If it came on the market right now, you're probably gonna get some over asking price, just because out of all the homes that are available, there's still gonna be a handful of people that are interested in the same home. And if they can come in over asking price, they will. So there's always those extremely well done homes that a lot of people are sought after, even when a market would be slower. We've seen houses sit for 65 days. There were still a couple of houses that would come on the market and be gone in 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it's more so for like some of those nostalgic homes versus trying to compare that to the average, that, hey, now that some of these homes are going over asking, oh, that's just not gonna be the pattern. And that's what a lot of consumers start making the assumption of, is that once they hear some of those patterns, oh, that's just gonna be the norm now. No, there's a handful because we've got more inventory, but it's been the same type of amazing home that handfuls of people just want and would super appreciate living in. And then obviously that demand comes in and you go over asking price.
Now, speaking to demand and competition, just to give you guys some kind of real numbers as far as kind of what you can expect. Again, looking back a couple years ago, it wouldn't be uncommon to see 10, 15, 20 offers on any given listing. Right now, if it is going over asking price with multiple offers, you're looking at maybe competing with 2 or 3 or maybe 5 on a home that's really competitive.
Correct.
And the best thing about that is that you're never having to do anything too crazy like waive inspections. If you are coming in over asking price, you might have the option to cover any appraisal gap just in case. But we're winning offers right now with people that have their home that hasn't sold yet. If you have a home that you're contingent on selling, it's got to be under contract. Ideally, you want to be through the inspection phase on your current home. Right. But we're winning offers a lot of times with
just because there's sellers that are just more proactive, that want to grab the offer that they want to. They're a little bit more open to that versus, a year ago when there were so many offers coming through. If you were contingent, as in if you had a home to sell and it was not already on the market and at least under contract, there were just so many other buyers that were prepared to buy their home. They would just take the cash offer. They would just take the one that could close in 3 weeks versus waiting out. Even if it meant losing out on a little bit of money, it was like right now money versus anything else. And just a side note, when he talks about the market that we're in right now, not having to waive inspections or anything crazy, he's being specific to inspection objections. So we're always going to have an inspection, no matter how hot the market is per se for sellers. We're always going to have an inspection done on the home. What he means though is, like, a lot of homes last year when the market was so hot, there's so many buyers were waiving their inspection objection with the sellers, as in, hey, we're okay to have an inspection. However, we're not going to ask anything for you to fix anything when it comes to the objection. There were some folks that were just waiving the inspection altogether. Definitely strongly advise not doing that, because no matter how hot the market is, if you end up finding out that there's something catastrophically wrong with the sewer or foundation, and yes, that even happens in some homes that are only a couple of years old, going into a home for that expensive blind, it's just never a good idea. Getting the inspection is never going to harm a seller, but it's only going to prepare you. And then, hey, if you can't ask for anything because you want to waive the objection, no problem, but at least you know what that home is at and where it's got great bones and it's got everything that you need it to have, or if there's something that's just underlying that we are so thankful that we caught before we purchased that home.
Yeah, it's very true. We help a ton of clients come from Texas, from California, a ton from the East Coast, and that's pretty common out there. Like, when I'm talking to other people about offers they got in their house, like, yeah, they didn't even do an inspection at all. And that is one thing here about Colorado, guys, is that Colorado is a very buyer-friendly state, meaning that there's multiple places once we go under contract on a property for you guys where you can terminate, from insurance to appraisal to inspection to HOA documents
to your loan file.
Yeah, your loan terms and stuff like that. There's so many places. So what that really does for our clients is when we educate you guys on all of those places that we can terminate, it allows you just to focus on loving the home that you love. Hey, let's stay non-emotional. Let's put our best offer forward, knowing that after we're under contract, we then have a great period of due diligence to where we can really now find out if this is truly the home for us or not.
100%.
Now, one thing that a lot of people were waiting for once we saw interest rates start to rise last year was this housing market crash. All right. Now, we've always known that in Colorado, our supply and demand is at such a tight ratio. We have so many more people wanting to move here than we have homes available that we knew we weren't going to have a crash or anything like that.
We had a little scare. So when the interest rates went up like 134 basis points last year on a Sunday night, we were actually under contract for a home in Castle Pines. Before we came to Southeast Aurora, you guys know we had a kiddo, so we moved from Castle Rock back over to Southeast Aurora in the South Shore. Amazing spot. We absolutely love it here. But when that happened, there was a pause as far as like buyers going, what the heck is going on? And I think a little bit of everybody were, but even prior to interest rates going up, everyone knew interest rates were going to go up because of how low they went to just flood the market back with money post-COVID, right? So people knew it was coming. Did it come on a little bit stronger than a lot of people thought? Absolutely. However, then they started going down. Now they stabilized. They went up a quarter of a point not too long ago, I think about a week ago, went up a quarter point, but that was also spoken publicly about being like the last increase before another decrease is going to be coming for the remainder of the year. So I guess what I'm getting at is once the market got stabilized with cool, there's a window of where the interest rates are staying now, right here. Yeah. We were also, and I don't know if we're going to speak about this as well, but we're up 11-12% than last year as far as overall value on homes here. So what that means to you as a buyer is sellers wanting to be competitive and complimentary to you as far as buying their home, they're still okay to give concessions toward 2-1 buy down or just a traditional rate buy down for you. So once these rates got into that window where everyone could trust more that they're going to be stable, they're just be within a parameter of your credit, your debt to income, your own personal circumstances, and then government circumstances here. And you've got this window, plus having contribution from sellers giving you a 2-1 buy down or a traditional buy down. Everyone knew like, hey, we're good because now we've got 4 times the amount of inventory. We can go get the house that we want to have. Yeah. We have a slightly higher interest rate potentially, but if you get that buy down from a seller, which is what we did on our personal home here in South Shore, which it brought the rate down significantly lower, 2 full points lower. And by the time we end up having to refi in a couple of years before we go back to the original interest rate, we'll be refining out of that. We're never going to hit that interest rate, right? So a lot of cool little pieces. Yeah. And the reason why I'm speaking to this, guys, is because this is another attribute that sellers want to be competitive with for you to be their buyer. And because we've still got a ton of equity here and we're still 11-12% more valuable than we were last year, as crazy as last year was, what that means to you as a buyer is sellers still have equity to play with and give you some of that toward contributing toward your interest rate or anything else, which allows you guys to kind of mitigate where that interest rate lies for you in addition to your personal circumstance.
Well, that's exactly the thing, because all those people that are waiting for the market to crash, they're still waiting and the market's not crashing. Surprise, surprise. Right. The prices haven't even really gone down. If anything, they've stabilized. Right. Like Will mentioned, 12%, that is across the entire Denver metro area. Mm-hmm. Some neighborhoods are still basis, they're not going down, but they're not going up. But hey, we love stabilization. We need that, guys. And the best part about that too is that so many more people now are comfortable coming into the market, because 2 years ago, they were hearing about 50 grand overpriced, 100 grand over asking price, yet we had 2.5% interest rates. Me personally, I would rather have a higher interest rate, keep that extra 100 grand in my pocket, because I can always refi out of a high interest rate. I can't refinance 100 grand back
that you already put back in the home. And you guys have to understand this as well. When homes are going over asking price, right, 100 grand over, and then they don't appraise, they just appraise at the original asking price, or maybe only 50 grand over, not 100 grand over. Any gap that was there, you had to bring out of pocket to closing. So if you were buying a house at $800,000 and you end up going to $900 to win that offer and only appraised for $850, that next $50,000 has to come out of pocket. Versus now, you're not having that issue. Homes are right where they're at, and are you gonna have a higher interest rate? Correct. Yep, but that can be a lot more affordable for people to increase their monthly for a little while until they refi, versus taking $50,000 out of an account, a retirement account, a savings account, whatever it may be, to then afford the rest of that gap.
All right, now one other good thing to know here is that as we are coming up into the springtime, as you may anticipate, our days on market, our average days on markets from homes are starting to shrink. So just last month, they were at 25 average days on. Now we're 8 this past month.
Correct, and you guys got to remember, by the time like a market update comes out, there's gonna be a little bit of delay on both, right? So they were
April,
right? So like in the very front end of that, homes were starting to stay on the market a lot longer than what the market was really saying in the beginning, because it hadn't collected all of that data. Now they're adjusting; they're going down a lot quicker than you're starting to hear like from the market update, right? But 8 is significant improvements for a seller standpoint, and obviously just shows that buyers are still active out there purchasing homes, because if it was only a couple of buyers out there buying, 1 or 2 homes going quicker would not be enough to fluctuate the average all the way from 25 down to 8, right? So something to consider.
Yeah, and one thing too that I always like, pointing out, because we get a ton of questions on this. People sometimes, if they see a house that's been on the market 24 days or 30 days or 60 days or something, they often ask like, hey, what's wrong with the home? And here's the deal. A lot of times nothing is wrong with the home. They could have overpriced the home, even just a little bit. They could have come on the market on the wrong weekend, or who knows. And any combination of those things can kind of work against the listing, and it just never really gains traction.
Very rarely, especially like in Colorado, the soil's great out here, the structure's great out here. Very rarely is there something wrong with the home. If you get into like the heart of downtown Denver, or you're purchasing like a home that's 100 years old, 70 years old, could there be some foundational issues and things like that? Absolutely. And typically those go off market. Investors buy those and scrape them and build something completely brand new, or they just come in with engineers and they completely redo the foundation from under the ground. But for the most part, guys, there's, especially with the couple hundred deals we do a year, mostly from all of you guys on YouTube, there's nothing really wrong with homes. It's typically the seller and where they're at financially and what they're in a home for, or what they're willing to let a home go for. So it's where they started the pricing, just wasn't marketed appropriately. They're not willing to come down. Maybe they've refied 3 or 4 times and they just can't afford to come down because they'd be losing money on a house if they sold it there. Some folks can be very ornery. Sometimes it goes under contract and somebody loses like their financial ability to purchase a home. That's very rare. When the interest rate went up 134 basis points overnight, you saw some homes fall out of contract because people just changed their mind about their loan conditions. And then some people just couldn't afford it, right? So now that that's over, you don't really see a lot of that. But long story long here, there's not really something wrong with the house. It's typically just the manner in which it's getting sold, the conditions sellers are committed to or think that they should be committed to, and they just haven't come to that realization yet, or they haven't been on the market long enough yet. We're like, okay, well, if we're gonna give it away for this, we're gonna wait this long. A lot of homes out here, people don't necessarily have to sell, right? So nothing different than you guys selling something. It's like, if you don't have to, and you kind of have an ideal situation or circumstance that you'd like to do it in, it's that. And then sometimes you see homes come off the market because they're just not quite ready, and they didn't get what they wanted for it. But something being wrong with the house, very rare.
Now, 2 pro tips for you guys before we wrap up this video. 2 years ago, if we were looking at homes and you wanted to purchase around the 850 mark, I'd probably tell you to start your search around the 700 to 750, 725, right around there. Right now, guys, it's almost the opposite. Not that you can expect this, but I'd say if you're searching up to 850, you're safe looking up to 9. And then, hey, if that home has been on the market 30 days or 45 days, I bet they would be willing to entertain an under asking price offer.
And there's some different circumstances we can have as far as giving them a post occupancy or some different things to just make it attractive for them as far as like the totality of the deal being well. And even as you guys get into million plus, there's still some similar patterns that you guys get to. As you guys get into like 2 million plus, believe it or not, it's always a pattern there. Like as you get 2, 3, 4 million plus, it's almost subjective all the time. You almost get people coming in low intentionally, and then it's like, all right, we'll go low, but you can keep the table from France or whatever. You guys we should have a whole channel on our luxury side, is when we help people do like all of their luxury purchases, and like what goes into negotiations and making everyone feel like they've got to win, right?
And our second pro tip, as you guys are coming in, check out some new build communities, because right now, as inventory is super tight among all these pre-existing homes, the one place where there's not tight inventory right now is all of these new build developments. And a big reason why is because you saw all those people that were under contract last year, and then the interest rates go up. Now all of a sudden, that $1.2 million home that they could easily afford that is currently being built, interest rates go up, they can't afford it anymore, they fall out of contract with the builder. The builder continues to build the home, but now it's just available as a quick move-in.
Right, and even if it's a dirt start, just cost of materials is significantly down. That's something we haven't talked about yet, but we can give that an honorable mention. A year and a half ago, costs for materials for builders were about 10x. I think it was like $1 trillion for a piece of wood, right? So like homes were outrageous, there was no budging. Your cost for goods, for materials to build homes are back down to planet Earth where they were prior to that increase, which means they're able to make these homes at competitive prices, and they've got enough material to finish them on time for the most part. But you do have some that are currently built where there's still some competitiveness. And as far as like super tight, like when he's saying, hey, it's super tight, hey, we're tight, but we're also 4 times more than we were, right? So like, man, it's just so subjective with how you look at it. Either way, you guys are on the winning team, you guys are on the winning side. And the number that's popping up below, that's where you guys are gonna be on the winning team. And it's reminding you guys that yes, we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And yes, just as much as we love making videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number that is still up below are the guys sent to the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. If we can help you, we would love to help you guys. But with that being said, you guys enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. We'll see you guys very soon.
See you guys.
And hey, if you heard a little bit of background behind the camera, maybe you did, maybe you did not. Either way, this is my son Cash, who's been helping us today. Helping us as in throwing his tomahawk in the dirt and the grass and against the concrete. So maybe you're hearing him with his trucks. But either way, you guys know we've both got families. This is how we fund our families. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the trust that you guys have in us. Figured we would show you a little helper today. But either way, hey, listen, you guys enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend. And I'll do my best to make sure his tomahawks and dump trucks aren't always getting in the way of some content. You want to tell everybody your name? What's your name?
Casquanjo.
There we go. All right. Can you tell them to have a great week?
Have a great week.
No, right here. Say, have a great week.
Have a great week.
Say, see you later.
See you later.
Get out of here.
We'll
See you
guys.